What's up, Benchwarmers? We're recording from home during quarantine. We have some exciting new things that we're going to review with you guys, and we're going to start with an introduction to everyone on the bench that's joining me virtually. We got Eric Estrada over by the goalpost. We got Marco Cruz with the English game background. We got Eddie holding a riot. That's a pretty calm intro for the riot scene. And we have Les Smug joining us directly from his cop cave at home. We're all safely at home, fellas. How are all you doing?
Chilling, my dude, chilling. Staying hydrated.
Staying hydrated. Still, I'm an essential according to New Jersey, so I'm still at work.
I've given up all the only going Modelos.
So how many of us are non-essentials?
I'm still working, but I'm working from home. But yes, I'm not essential.
Technically, I'm essential.
Non-essential?
Technically, Eric is essential, but not enough to work.
Nah, Marco, the world does not have to know anything else. So just keep that to yourself.
Just like my background, guys, I'm in the front lines. I am the vanguard.
So if you all notice, we all have this common theme going on with our virtual backgrounds for this recording. We actually got into a new Netflix series that just released over the last few weeks. It's called The English Game. We watched the first 2 episodes, so we're going to review those 2 episodes for you guys today, and we encourage everyone to try to watch along with us. We're going to get some more recordings as we finish the rest of season 1 and see what that means for season 2 of The English Game. So you guys, I didn't know how to feel going into this, watching this series. I didn't know what to expect, but I think we can all agree that it's a pretty, first 2 episodes in, it's a pretty good series.
It's phenomenal, man. I mean, when I came into it, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. When I saw it was only 6 episodes, I'm like, all right, I'll blow through it, but it's probably going to be done badly just because they try to get something out. And my mind has been blown, absolutely blown. Eric, what do you think?
Yes.
I mean, just how the evolution of soccer, to me was the biggest takeaway from the beginning. It's just like, wow, I was not expecting that to kind of be the whole background to football in England, especially. So it was awesome to watch. You know, first 2 episodes in, I'm already craving to watch the next episode. It's hard to not watch them. Marco was saying that earlier.
I mean,
well, what do you think, Marco?
I mean, the minute I finished watching the second episode, I wanted to start watching it immediately, the third one. But I knew that we had to record and that we were going to start this now that there is no soccer going on because of the quarantine.
Yeah.
It's too distracting. I'm sorry.
Gotcha, right there.
What's going on?
Sorry. I can hear Hector in the background.
Oh, yeah, they're playing the zombie games over there. So.
Going on?
Yeah. I didn't know my little microphone was that good.
This is quarantine.
Yo, he's getting ready for the zombie apocalypse. What do you want me to say, bro?
He's training. He's training already.
He's training. No, it's good.
Listen, at least you can add that to the blooper reel. Tell us, Eddie, what did you think?
No, like Eric said, it was fascinating to see, the evolution of soccer, how they went from freaking 11 forwards into actually having a little structure. And on top of that, they threw a little revolution in there, so that's cool with me. I'm all for it. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to continue on the watch.
I mean, it's not 100% accurate when it comes to, the story, but it's as close as it can get or as close as the books say, right? Or it's an idea.
No one was actually there, so.
But it's so well done.
All right, look, there's so much to talk about. I don't know where to even start. I don't know how to talk about the different subjects. Diego, what do you think? Where do you want to start with this? Where do you want us to talk about? I want to cover some.
Well, I think we should first start by reminding everybody where they can listen to us. And I know we haven't done this in a while because we're away from the studio. But let's see if Eddie can remember. Eddie, where can everyone listen to our podcast?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher. Am I missing one? Spotify, Benchwarmers FC.
Nice. And where can they follow us, Eric?
Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media platforms. Give us a like, give us a follow. Let us know what you guys want us to do as far as challenges go, because we probably want to do it anyway. Tough luck. Do it all through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Benchwarmers FC1.
Nice. And where can I watch us, Marco?
They can watch us now that we're back after the 2-week hiatus that we had. You can watch us on YouTube at Benchwarmers FC TV.
Nice. And Edgar, do you know where they can write to us?
Benchwarmersfc.com.
I love it. I like the little fake. And as always, we encourage you guys, like Eric said, to get in touch with us. We want to hear from fellow benchwarmers like you. Moving forward now, we're going to start with episode 1. We got introduced very quickly to some new faces. The episode itself, I think you guys could agree, moved a bit slowly, but I think that was the right way to do it so that we can understand exactly the times that we were in. One of the things that stood out to me the most at the very beginning, though, is I wasn't aware that there's a lot of rules and non-rules back then, and people, the things that we see as normal back then, people thought it was cheating. And I'm going to start with, firstly, paying players to play the sport itself. And how the rest of the team were like, "Oh, are you serious? Like that's ridiculous. I could be paying somebody to play this." Where this is, I think it was the character of Arthur that said, "Football. This is a sport for amateurs and for gentlemen. It's not for paid players." What do you guys think about that? Or actually, specifically, Eric, what do you think about that?
It kind of when he said that, it kind of reminded me of football today. For us here in the United States, how it's for gentlemen, like for the higher class. It's
okay.
For
I like that. I like that parallel.
It's that's the first thing that kind of grasped onto him. Like, so their revolution to football was back then. I think our revolution to football is still now. So, and I'm comparing it to the reason I say our football, because at the end of the day, this is where this is our local football that we get. So that's why I'm comparing the theirs and the ours. And it was kind of like just weird to see how much we've progressed now, and how outdated their thinking is. It's just ridiculous seeing how they think that a poor person can't play. It's just crazy, absurd.
Edgar, what did you think when it came to some of the other players realizing that these two main characters, Suitor and Love, they were getting paid, without their knowledge, first of all, but on top of that, they're slaving away at this mill to try to make ends meet, and they're still finding time to play football. If you were in that position, let's say you were in the position of the team captain, how would you feel done by that?
I'd be pissed, because it's not, the football it's fun. Like, it's something you do out of work. It's something you do in between getting out of the mill and going to the bar, going to the pub. It's something that you guys just play to go have fun with, and then just go to the pub and talk about. It's something to give the town something to do. It's not like they had movies. Not like most of them could read. Most of them probably couldn't read. They had very low education. So this was the activity to do to have fun outside of work. And then to find out that the boss is bringing in people, cutting your wages, and then giving them money to go play so that he can advance and, get his mill to be the best. It looks like the mill owner is the asshole. But it just twisted around, because a mill owner is the nicest guy out of all the mill owners. He's like the one you want to follow. You feel bad for the guy. But at the same time, he's a dick because he's an owner. But he's not he's confused.
Oh, Marco, I'm going to pull you in real quick, because we saw I'm just referring to the first episode right now. We saw in the first episode, there was a vote that was held. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the owner of that mill in Darwin was the only one to vote nay for the first wage cut.
Correct. I think the first wage cut was 5%.
Correct. The first wage cut was 5%, which to them was a lot. And
anybody's a lot.
Did you anticipate seeing the mill owner? Did you anticipate him being more of like a bad guy, like a bad character, or do you think that he's going to be put in a redemption arc for the remainder of the season? What's your prediction for him?
Look, I mean, specifically for him, I think he's one of those owners that would do anything for the win. The fact that he brought in 2 players and said that he was going to pay them, even though it's supposedly illegal to do it at the time, it kind of tells you where he was at. But at the same time, he's doing it for his town. So that's why, like, it's really hard to tell if you want to root for him or you want to go against him, because there's certain situations that he comes across that his decision making sometimes is a little off. But at the long run, I think he's gonna have a lot of evolution in his character, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick with him, and hopefully he doesn't become the asshole that we all think he might be.
Okay, so you're saying you're sticking with Walsh for a nice redemption arc for the remainder of the season. That he's gonna come good to his mill workers and to his team.
I mean, you're talking about the first episode, so yes, as of right now, he isn't. He's not showing that way. I mean, in more episodes we watch, the more we'll get to. He will evolve, and we'll get to know him a little better.
Right. I know you're all about Revolution, Eddie, but pulling you in really quickly on the first episode, we saw a very quick glimpse of some of the rules that the old FA had for the cup matches, and I think myself, the way I identified, I was like, what the hell? When they were talking about, we'll get to the match later, but when they were talking about not allowing them extra time and that they're be forced to replay, I know you're very familiar with the FA Cup, Eddie, like the rest of us, but would you say that having taken FA Cup replays as so normal, were you taken aback during this first episode when they said, no, we're not going to give you extra time? Did that seem unfair to you while you were watching it?
Yeah, because I thought it was a little bit of elitist that they were losing to the poor man, and then they chose not. And then once they confronted them, they were like, "Oh, we are the FA board." So I was like, "Wow, that's how it is now." I was like, "Wow."
He's right there.
Yeah. So yeah,
do you think,
like I said,
Eddie,
it threw me off.
Do you think that back then, obviously, the way it was portrayed, it was very unfair? But having seen that now and knowing that they still do FA Cup replays, do you think that's fair today?
No, I think it should be a one and done game. I don't think the replays. I mean, like at the same time, yeah, like if they were playing against like a Manchester United and Arsenal, like a lower league team, and they had the chance to go play at the Emirates, go play at Old Trafford. I mean, like who wouldn't want that? So it's like it could go either way.
I see you're shaking your head, Eric. What do you think? Do you think that after this scene in the first episode of the English game where they were denied the extra time, Darwin FC, do you believe now still that FA Cup replays are fair in modern football?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you go to the opponent's field, whether it be Arsenal or United, Liverpool, wherever it goes, it's good for a club, for a lower level club, to go to these stadiums to get that experience, to get that exposure, to get that. It's just that moment in their careers. So that replay, yeah, I think it's good in the long run. But just the whole way that this was done in this specific scene in the show, where they just didn't give them the opportunity, knowing how far they've come. And like Eddie said, the poor man losing to the poor man, that to me was more of that was more gut wrenching than anything else. That was like brutal.
All right, guys.
Let me pull you in real quick. Smug was shaking his head while Eric was talking.
Yeah, it's elitist, though. It's elitist. It's like there should be no reason why he can't just say, continue to play the game. Yeah, it's within the rules that they didn't choose to. And then you're like, you know what? That's fucked up. Just because you got money and all of a sudden you're getting beat by the poor man, you can't go ahead and just say, hey, we lost. No, because you're a fucking elitist, right? But then it's like, oh, wait, they have players that they're paying and they're cheating. Shit, what side of the fence am I on? It's like, oh. They would have never gotten to the 5-5 because they would have gotten blown out if it wasn't for the 2 players they were paying. So really, who's at fault?
I think that's a very
it's
ambiguous
like 2 wrongs
that the show put it.
Another wrong. In other words, in order to defeat the giant, you gotta beat him at his own game. So yeah, you gotta cheat and pay these players to come onto your squad.
Was the final result though after the second match a fair result? Because
no, it wasn't.
It wasn't a fair result.
No,
According-
the first game they just
Yeah.
because Sutter brought in a different style of football and was able to expose them.
But he wasn't on that team.
But then they used their powers to not allow not to finish the game. That's also not right.
I think it's also
Technically, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to side with the elitists, but at the same time, it's like the elitists had the point. I mean, they were.
Marco, you were about to chime in. Well, what do you think?
at the end of the day, I think it just gave them the time to change tactics. They saw that the tactics one game and what didn't work for them, and then if it would have gone to extra time, they would have gotten their ass kicked. But they were able to hold back and see, like, all right, next game, because of the rain or because there's no extra time, they're like, all right, well, we know what they're gonna do now. Let's go attack this one person alone. Which, come on, they had no fouls back then, so I could see a lot of broken ankles there.
Bro, and
Also-
was the rematch episode 2 or episode 1?
Episode
Shoot.
1.
No.
No, it was
No,
two.
the
No, it
rematch
one.
was
It
in the
one. It
first
one.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and on top
Yeah.
of that, so like not even like taking everything into perspective, as long as it's 100% accurate, the second game going in, the refs were completely on the other guy's side.
I didn't even know that was a ref.
There was no VAR, so you can't say it was completely under one.
Oh,
And
now there's no
also,
here we have.
but you also have to consider. I don't know where the rules were at. I don't know how much rules have been implemented up to that point. And they were basically just the tactic was man market and do whatever it takes to take him down. So at the end of the day, it was a tactic that they were using.
Yeah, but you see them arguing to the ref. I'm assuming they're calling for a foul. So I'm assuming that's a foul in their time of the game.
It could have been.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I think that's something that's worth probably looking up. But I agree with Marco that it was very weird to see Arthur talk to his team, to the old Etonians, and he said, "Okay, I'm gonna take care of Suter, you take care of Love," and it seemed like to them, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, their eyes widened up, like, we can do that. And then in my head, or I'm guessing in some of your guys' heads, immediately we're like, oh, that's man marking. But it was crazy to see in that very moment where they implemented this kind of tactic. And then, of course, like Marco said, the way they executed it was probably a few broken ankles and some clear fouls. But then we're talking about a time when the FA board was part of a proper team and they were able to influence one of the results directly. So I think it was actually, I think it was pretty cool the way they handled both sides. Say that again, Smug?
Don't you miss those days, the days of real tackles?
Edgar, how many injuries do you have, bro?
Hey, I'm still playing, okay?
I don't know how many real tackles that is, but
Yeah, you took a lot of real tackles, bro.
Yeah, for real. Merlin. You want a real tackle?
My manager's himself.
It is crazy though, the difference between the Scottish game and the English game in the show they're trying to portray. So they're saying like the English game is just a bunch of brutes, and then the Scottish are like more technical.
The tic-tac is simple, mucha.
I like that, Eddie. Eddie, that's a fair point, because another trope that the first episode introduces very quickly is, like you just said perfectly, the English game is portrayed as like a pack of brutes running together. You even hear that in the match where they said, "Oh, move as a pack." And
it looked like a rugby formation running out to the ball carrier.
Exactly.
It looked like
exactly. So now we get these two Scottish guys. We get these two Scottish guys, and they say, "Listen, this isn't how we play in Scotland." And the only thing that it looks like Suter and Love bring forth in the beginning, like the very first tactic that they show them, is space. And they keep saying, this is a game about space. And Eric, you were saying it clearly, you know, they introduced a bit of tic-tac, a bit of passing, you know, utilizing the ball. And we hear this a lot now. And Suter said it right at the end of his speech during that comeback in the first match. He said, let the ball do the work. You can use your pace. You can use the space of the field. Get wide. So what do you guys think about that? Do you feel that at that time it would have been something hard to get people to listen to, because we also saw the captain of the team say, that's not how we play. That was the first thing that he said. He objected to the idea of passing. And it took Walsh, who was the owner of the mill, to say, well, he's captain now. You have to listen to him. If you were in that position, let's say if you were part of Darwin FC and some guy came over and he's like, hey, listen, we're going to do things completely differently. Do you think that you would have probably listened to his direction so easily?
It's hard to say, just because I'm trying to think of a moment now where, like, for example, when we play at Inter and, you know, we clash minds of different tactics of what works, what doesn't work. But at that time, I don't know. I think I'd be like the captain, the first captain who was against it, you know, just because you're so used to playing one style of football. Introducing something completely different is going to be, one, scary because you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Nobody likes change.
Yeah, nobody likes change. Exactly, change. You know, everybody's scared to change. So that's the big thing.
I mean, for him specifically, I think it came back from before when they introduced these two new players. They took away two of his men that he'd been playing with already. So he's already in defense about these two guys, and then the owner comes and says, "Look, this is a new captain because you guys don't want to listen." Of course, he's gonna say no. At the end of the day, it kind of worked out in the end. But I don't see why. I would have done the same thing to the guy. I would have hold back and be like, no, this is the way, because you come into my space.
And you kicked two of my guys out too. On top of that, that's like, nah, chill, man.
Yeah, that was a bit brutal when they asked for the two jerseys, and he's like, "Are you serious?"
That sucked. That was a little hurt. It is crazy to think though. Like, imagine like, all right, these guys playing, and then some flair player comes by. Like who started flair? Like the Brazilians, I'm guessing, like in the 30s, around the Olympic times, whatever. Yeah. So imagine that. Like you're known playing that, and then having to play people like that.
Yeah. But then once you see it happen, once you see it all like fall into place and everything formulate, it's like, oh shit, this shit works. This shit actually works. This is football. Yeah. This is nice. Yeah.
So that was a nice. It was a feel good. It was like a feel good moment when Darwin earned that 5-5 draw at the end of it, and I honestly didn't expect them to go down 5-1. I was like, where is this show going? But it was, it was a bit over the top to kind of clearly show that the change in tactics was what was going to help their game evolve and change. At the end of the episode, though, they wrap it up by Darwin FC getting completely battered in the replay. And they had their struggles. They had they were this close to not going to the game. They were going to forfeit it. They weren't going to be able to go because of the wage cuts. But kind of skipping through all that, at the end of this of the replay where they get beat, Arthur comes up to James Suter and he says, maybe the game hasn't changed that much after all. And he's kind of like gloating in his face that he's still, you just got beat. But we do see Arthur being put in a light where he might be able to change a little bit because he starts to think about his actions thanks to his wife, it seems. So leading into the second episode, what did you guys think for these two characters specifically? For Arthur Kinnard, the gentleman who plays for the old Etonians, where did you think he was going to end up? And then for James Suter, do you think that he was going to possibly bring this team back to the FA Cup glory to be able to get them to a final?
Dude, it's so difficult to give you a good prediction of where I think these characters are going to go. At the beginning, I thought Arthur was a complete dick. I'm like, he is a fucking asshole, elitist motherfucker. And then you see his back, and it's like, damn, he's struggling. I'm going beyond the football here. But although football is the only important thing in his life, besides his wife, of course, but they're on even scale with him. It's similar to how we feel sometimes with our own girlfriends and shit like that. And I sort of see it reflected on his situation. I mean, you see it after the first game where, all the wives chime in and say, well, you guys sort of got beaten and didn't let it happen. And then, start saying you guys talk too much football and all that. I was cracking up. I'm like, damn, this guy's an elitist, but he still gets stick from his wife. And then you have, yeah, for real. And what's the other character? Suter?
The other character is James Suter. He's a short little Scottish man.
He's just there for money and to leave. But he's being put up as the idol because of his skill, not because he deserves to be there. The one who deserves to be there is the original captain because he's the one who's been struggling at the mill, keeping that team together, continuing with the team, making sure that they're at the FA Cup. He got him to the quarterfinals. That was the captain that got him to the quarterfinals. He just wasn't skilled enough to get him in past the quarterfinals. But now someone else is being propped up as a captain because he's skillful, but he doesn't want to be there and doesn't care about the town. That's how you're walking into the.
I think.
What the?
I think.
Something just struck my mind and just kind of go with me on this, all right? On this little journey with me, real quick, if you guys are cool with it. So Edgar had a good point. The actual captain idol should have been the original captain for the team, correct? But then Suta came in and changed it up. He brought it into the tic-tac, the opening space, and was technically should have won the first game if they would have gone on. But the idolizing what the money brought in, not a homegrown player. Don't we see that kind of now in today's football? Just wanted to say that. Just wanted, kind of make you guys put that seed in your brain, let that plan grow, and then see what comes out of your mouths.
So the Mills, that's where it started at. The Mills are at fault for taking away the homegrown player.
I mean, they're the one that started the transfer.
But it's not even that. But is the big man now about how teams buy players of all over the place? But if it wasn't for that transfer being made, who knows where football would be in England right now or maybe worldwide. So
and on top of that, international transfer.
Yeah. So imagine without international transfers, and maybe bashing on transfers shouldn't be such a common category in our show.
I mean, well, international, yes, because as you can tell at the end of the second episode, the guy that approaches whatever his name is, the Scottish guy, he told that he has the best of the best throughout England, so they know that he's bringing people in. It's just that he was technically the first international one.
So that's a good way, actually, to segue into the second episode. It kind of skips over a little bit because we get a good helping of drama for episode number 2 in the English game, and it has to do more with the mill, with the livelihood of all the people in Darwin, with the way that Walsh is going to handle all these wage cuts that the rest of I think it was called the Cotton Masters Guild, all the wage cuts that they're proposing so that they can stay afloat. And we'll get to that very quickly, but since Marco had mentioned it now, it's kind of like there was a little less football in this second episode, but at the very end when they had this match preparing up to play against Brig in the first round of the FA Cup for that year, we see the owner of the Blackburn team. He comes over to James Suter, and he does say exactly that. And he says, listen, what is he paying you? £2 or £3 a week? I'll double that, and I'll give you £100 on top. So we see the first, I guess, example in this show or this series. We see the first example. Yeah, the very team that they were going against was trying to come and poach him, and we see that a lot in modern day football. So how do you guys feel watching this man going up to Suter and saying, "Hey, listen, I'll give you an exorbitant amount of money in that time, and I'll double your wages"? If you were in that position, like watching it, how'd you feel? And if you were in that position, how would you react?
I mean, I guess that's how, obviously it's done with their technology back in the day, but I guess that's how it's really done with the FA Cup nowadays. You see a youngster playing the field, you're like, all right, let me get his information, I'll shoot him a text, and then we'll go from there. So it is.
So you're going the hey big head route?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like you are kind of taking back like how it all started, like with all that stuff.
It's ridiculous.
Eric, well, what do you think?
I mean, I kind of wouldn't be mad if he left just because understanding his background. So it kind of opened my eyes to seeing the transfers that happen nowadays and why they're done. Maybe like, all right, so I hate, for example, Chamberlain. He fucking left Arsenal and went to Liverpool. I hate the motherfucker. I loved him. He was my favorite player on Arsenal. But who knows? Maybe Liverpool showed him that check. And he was like, damn, that looks nice. And he left.
We showed him a pitch that he could play on and actually play on, and he came over.
Well, he doesn't play because he's injured all the time, but whatever. But no,
we told him he could play in the midfield, and that's where we put him, bro. You guys kept putting him on the wings. He didn't like it
because he kept getting hurt, so it's not my fault. But no, but you know what I mean. But like,
I get you. Yeah.
Like you get mad at the transfers now, but when you have that big money in front of you, are you gonna go? You don't know. I don't know, man. I probably would have gone too. Shit, man, 100 pounds.
Edgar, what do you think, man?
Dude, man, like I thought he was gonna go. I thought that's what they would take it. But of course, to keep the series going, if it ended there, I'd be like, damn, what does he do? But I wouldn't fault him for going. It's what happens nowadays. It's just that it was nice to see that he developed loyalty for the club. And I guess since he wasn't homegrown, but he built a loyalty with a small team, it was nice. But it's, again, replace the Mills ownership with, like, ownership groups. It's like, someone going to Newcastle United and poaching Gini Wijnaldum, FSG, for $25 million. You're getting relegated. You're a small club now. We're going to buy you off. And all of a sudden, to me, that was a suitor move. You know what I mean? We're going to pay you a lot of money, and you're done. Get out of here. You're going to get relegated. I'm going to take your good player. And, I mean, it's shrewd, smart business by the larger mill owner. But at the same time, it's like, oh, shit, that's big money again. What are you supposed to do? At least nowadays, the mill owners get paid. In other words, the small clubs get paid and get paid big money if they have a good player, like Salzburg did, getting paid good money for Haaland, right? And, all types of players like that. Back in the day, if the player moved, that was it. There was no contracts. It was all word of mouth.
Quick thing. I'm not sure if we skipped over this or we're leading up to it, but when you ever mentioned the whole ownership thing, Darwin did introduce the whole player ownership.
Correct.
That was, to me, that was pretty cool. Like how you see the town, how committed, how big football is, and they have no money. They're poor already. But on top of it, they're still giving their wages to support their local football team to make it to the top of the FA Cup, to get blown out in a rematch because the owners are playing on the other team, but your team's still cheating. It's just a whole mind blow of things going on.
To snowball off of that, I love that scene because it reminds me of like big teams like Bayern Munich and Barcelona who are owned by the fans, and how that kind of like that progresses throughout the years.
It's still alive today, and it's still a big issue today. Now you see Bayern Munich and the whole Bundesliga, most of the teams getting mad at RB Leipzig and Hoffenheim, is it? Or it's another team? I forget which other German team that's owned by one single owner and not by fans.
Bayer Leverkusen, they're owned by the Parma.
So at the end of the day, we get to see what it developed from. But if you look at who developed that team ownership, it came from the original captain, the guy who kept it going. It's just that he's not going to get the fame for it. It's going to be Suter because he's got the skill. It's just nice to see that in the show. He built the loyalty, but I don't know where it's going to go.
It was so hard not to watch the third episode after they're like, what does he do? What does he do? What's he do?
So I'll be honest with you guys. I actually started, so before we decided to actually watch the show together, I started watching it before. No. I started watching it beforehand. And I got to the third episode on the first. I started watching it at fucking 10 at night. And then I got to the third episode the first night. So once we talked about it, I stopped watching it. So I rewatched the first two episodes again. But you have no idea how hard it is for me not to binge it. I am.
Remember, we're doing 2 episodes every recording. So
townspeople for Darwin when he said, Our pockets, their stomachs will go empty before our pockets do. I'm like, you son of a bitch. And in the meeting that they were having between the union, the workers and the mill owners, they said, we'll accept another 5%, but not 10%. And he said, fuck you to that. Like, legit? Really? And yet you still have enough money that you can keep all your mills open, or not open because of these employees not working, but you're gonna I want to strangle the guy. I'm at a loss for words, but it's
and it's crazy because in that scene you see how the unions were started as well, how workers unions and all that soccer unions and all that stuff started because of people like that.
The football in the town isn't just like the extracurricular to do. That's the one thing that I think in the U.S. is very different. Like football is an extracurricular activity. Basketball is an extracurricular activity. Not football, not how it originated. Maybe in the U.S. it's an elite sport that you have to pay to play, but everywhere else, at least in England and how this started, it was what the poor people had, all they had. While the rich had a bunch of other shit they could do, right? They had their dinner parties and they could travel. These people couldn't travel. All these people had was 6 days a week they had to work, and Sundays they got drunk and played soccer. That's it.
It's crazy. Going off of that, like on Twitter, I saw a video like these black girls like kicking the ball around, and like one of the girls commented is like, "Damn, it's the first time I see black girls playing a white man's sport," and like everybody's roasting her in the comments, and then it was like, "Yeah, in the United States," and she wrote it and like, "Yeah, in the United States, this game is only for rich white people." Wow, rich white people.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up because not glad you brought it up, but I kind of a good sentence I read in the opening dialogue of the first episode. I just pulled it up because I just wanted to read it again to make sure I got it 100% accurate. Is football in its infancy, an amateur game dominated by the upper class teams who invented its rules.
Sounds about right.
I kind of want to just kind of pick your brain on that. And whoever wants to take it first, just go ahead. But kind of that is break it down for me, I guess, however you want to.
An amateur game.
I think it's still like that in the United States. I mean, yeah, like the people that are in power are the ones that have the time to be able to make the rules. And the ones that have the time to make the rules are the ones who have the rest of their lives already secured because they don't have to worry about working every day. They don't have to worry about their wage cuts. They don't have to worry about losing, their livelihoods because their mill closes for 2 weeks. They're the ones that have the extra time to be able to govern these rules and govern these sports. And I think that's very true. And it's true for a lot of things. And I would even agree with Eddie that it's true now. It's something that we see a lot of people, and we touched on this a little bit when we were talking with, when we were having Andrew, this conversation before, early. And we basically said that the clearest example was with the comparison of the men's national team and the women's national team. Kind of like those people that are in control, they're writing the rules and stopping the women's national team from earning their equal wages on par with the other national team players. And of course, all these people that are in control and making rules, those are the ones that have their livelihood set for them. They're sitting comfortable in their board seats, and they're making sure, unfortunately, the only thing they are making sure of is that a whole set of players who are just as talented or even more talented aren't getting paid equally. So I think that resonates very true today that, yes, in its infancy, it was probably created to support that kind of system. Those who are well off are going to make the rules. But I think it should be a bit eye-opening to realize that in some facets of the football game today, that's still very true. And those people are still very much in control. So that's my take on it. I don't know if any of you guys want to add on to that.
Nah, like I said, I totally agree. Like here in the United States, it is kind of like held for like people like middle class and higher. Like soccer's not really for the lower class or anything. That's why like we're so far behind like teams like Brazil and Argentina and that, because that's some of their only options to get a better life.
All right, guys, I love the question, Eric, but we got to give a prediction here. I mean, where is this going? You know a little bit. Can we get into that a little bit? I want to ask you guys, who do you think is feeling it?
Who do you think is what?
The ultimate villain in the show.
The ultimate villain?
Who's going to be the ultimate villain?
The Banks.
The
Banks, Eric, the Banks.
Hard to tell.
They mentioned JP Morgan.
Did they really?
I think they did.
Oh, I didn't catch that then.
What's that?
I think they mentioned JP Morgan in one of the opening scenes about the banks. I forget. I gotta rewatch it though. But who's the ultimate villain, man? I don't know, man. That's a hard question. Just because
I don't think
you see the potential good in everybody that could overshadow the bad. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna give the ultimate villain being to the Andrew, not Andrew, what the fuck, what's his name? Andrew? No. Huh?
Arthur,
the
you
Scottish
mean?
guy?
Arthur. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Arthur.
get Andrew from. Arthur.
I don't think so, man. I think he's gonna end up being
I'm
one
a
of the heroes.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say it's gonna be Greed, bro. Greed is gonna be the villain.
Greed.
Greed.
Greed. I don't know, man. I think it might be the
I
owner.
really want to say
No.
Walsh. You think Walsh is going to be the ultimate villain?
You think Walsh is gonna be the villain?
From Darwin?
See him taking the money for Suter just to keep his mill open. You know what I mean?
Well, no.
That's fair.
yeah,
That's
right.
fair.
Oh,
That's a good one.
so you think there's gonna be a transfer fee?
Yeah, it'll be the first transfer or something like that. I mean, it's all time.
Okay, I see you
What
mean.
it can be is he might sell the team.
He could sell the team.
He could sell the team.
Damn, you guys are evil as hell, bro.
I mean,
Both
I
of
didn't
you.
even think about that.
The
Wow.
possibility is
But
there.
that wouldn't make him. That wouldn't make him bad. He'd be given. Oh, but he'd be giving the team to another owner, and they get paid.
Yeah, but he'd be selling out though. What if they don't pay him the same?
It might be going to another town.
Okay, so he'd be selling out to his town. Yeah, to his
No,
town.
but
he'd look bad.
you only see that in the States. You don't see that like in England. You don't see teams trading towns.
Club de Cuervos reference right there, yo.
Like here in the States,
Well,
I mean, like,
actually,
yeah,
you know what? Okay, you know what? All right,
there's
so,
no lakes in Los Angeles, but they're fucking Los Angeles Lakers, right?
So what I could see happening, maybe it kind of being like a London Derby-ish kind of team, where Darwin and maybe like another local team come up.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know,
Maybe
but
the
I
town-
don't
maybe the
see.
town
I don't
is-
see
Maybe the
not
town
to
is
another
pissed.
town. Not to another town.
We seen it already, bro. We seen it already with the Cuervos and las Tarantulas, bro. It happens.
Maybe the town gets
It
pissed
happened.
that the mill is the one that owns the team, and they create their own.
Yeah, man. It
That could be
happens.
too,
I
yeah.
mean, I think honestly, because he was introduced so late and so quickly at the end of the second episode, I think that other mill owner from Blackburn, I think he's going to be the ultimate villain. Because even though Walsh can sell out, the person who's going to cause that sellout is going to be that other mill owner from Blackburn. I think he's probably going to like throw a wrench into the whole operation that Walsh has with his team with Darwin FC. And it's either going to be money or it's going to be some sort of sabotage. But I feel like that guy, he has the face of a guy who's going to do whatever it takes to get his team to the top. And I think he might end up being the ultimate villain. That's going to be my prediction for the end of the season. I think it's going to be that guy. He's going to do something that's going to change the course of the rest of the season.
I
Is
kind
it
of agree with you and
miniseries
Edgar
or
that
just
I think there's gonna be the beginnings of the transfer fee. There's gonna be a transfer fee somehow, some way.
Do you think is this a mini series or a full on like is there gonna be seasons to the show? I haven't heard.
Well,
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard any. There's only rumors about a season 2 coming out, but there's nothing confirmed yet. And really, I think that since we haven't finished the first season, I can only guess or maybe speculate that season 2 will probably follow like another timeline. I think that this story.
So you think it's gonna be like
Darwin FC?
It's gonna be like the English game, the Spanish game, the German game, the Brazilian game.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Like I think it's gonna highlight other regions or other developments of world football. And like this storyline is pretty much set because you can only follow one person.
I want them to go into like the world. Oh shit, what's good, bro? I want them to go like into like the startings of the World Cup, so like how it started with the Olympics and then rolled into the World Cup.
That actually would be cool.
Right. You wanna introduce
and obviously
the guest,
get into Champions League too.
Mug?
It's LeBark.
This is Enzo. He is a football analyst. He chases balls all day and understands exactly how football works. He's still a young pup, so he's learning the game, but he's excited to become our bench football analyst. Say hi.
LeBark.
LeBark.
Man.
All right, man.
TV, it's a mini series, but they haven't really end, so I'm excited to see what happens, man. For now, I just want to
me too.
with you and go watch episode 3.
Listen, man, if you guys want to watch it earlier and record it earlier, I'm down. Let me know. 100% I'm down. So.
mean,
My man is with it, dude.
The minute this is done, we can start watching. So we can meet up tomorrow at the same time and record the second episode.
But man, man, awesome show.
When are you gonna have time to edit, though?
I mean, I don't have to sleep.
You gotta sleep, bro.
So another quick question, just now that we've kind of like wrapped this up, how you guys been holding up during quarantine, guys? Just so that we can give our followers a bit of an update on how we're all doing.
I mean,
still working, guys. I'm keeping my sanity. So Edgar, I know over there struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I'm struggling, man. Look, I got no hands left.
I wonder why.
I don't even want to get into that. No.
I got injured over the break. The doctor recommended I get one of these.
What is
I
that?
barely see it.
Is that a brace?
Yeah.
Left hand is.
Oh my no.
Oh, that's for a little bit more torque, bro.
A little straight.
A little more vice grip.
A little too hard.
All right, quarantine, man.
Eric, how you been staying sane during quarantine?
Man, just a lot of Xbox, a lot of TV, playing with Ace, and my girls been, just with me the whole time. So just kind of going insane together at this point.
Nice, Marco. How you holding up?
Man, trying to stay busy. Between work now with the edits, because of course, even though we did take a 2-week hiatus because of the quarantine, we figured out how to do it, and we came back to start recording again. So now this is gonna keep me a little bit busy. I haven't been out. I've been in quarantine for almost 3 weeks, which sucks because I like to stay at home, but not this much. Like I feel like the day that the quarantine is lifted, like the bars are gonna be packed.
Oh, I'm definitely hanging up a bar, bro. No, that's no.
I think like even us that don't like to go to them, I think like, we'll be running to one too.
The thing is funny is the first week of quarantine, right? I saw a meme and I was like, yeah, it was me in that meme. It was like when you realize the first week of quarantine. When you realize quarantine is your everyday life. Like, damn, that is me. I don't do anything. I just stay inside all day. So that doesn't really resonate with me.
No, but me and you had the option to go to the gym and freaking go over there and be around
people.
But
now it's taken away.
Now it's just taken away now.
Yeah.
No, what cracks me up is that the second this quarantine's over, we can go out. We're gonna go record in Marco's studio, so he's still gonna be at home.
I mean, it's true. The studio is at my house. Damn, can we get a second studio, please? I need to get out.
Yeah, man, careful. You're about to dox Marco, man. He's about to get some quarantine visitors.
You can record there, and I'll just go record somewhere else. I'll video chat with you guys. It seems like this works really well.
Yeah, this works pretty good.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad all of you have been doing good. Like Marco said, we did take a little bit to try to figure things out for everybody, get ourselves a bit of a clear schedule. For me specifically,
you started
I've been home.
For all of us.
Yeah. I was home probably a good 2 weeks before a lot of people were told to stay home, and I was specifically confined to my room. That's how I got this awesome background going on. And thankfully, the rest of my family that has been home, because we all, I still live with them. They've been home for about 16, 17 days now. So that only means that everyone's healthy and everyone has already stopped going to work, because most of us, like my younger siblings and all of that, they all stopped working. The ones that can work from home have been working from home. And we're hanging in there like everybody else. I know there's a lot of people that are also in the same struggle together with us, and we're all trying to keep ourselves busy, keep ourselves not just entertained, but keep ourselves informed, because the most important thing is to take it a day at a time. And people still have to go out and get food, get water, get medication even. So One thing that I know all of us would want to share with our viewers and our listeners is to make sure that you stay safe. Make sure you follow the guidelines, which have been very clear, to keep yourself safe. And also, if you haven't, I think we would encourage you to like stop and think twice about that, because there's been a lot of reports for people, specifically where we are here in the U.S. Now that the outbreak has kind of not gotten out of control, but it definitely escalated from the beginning of the month in March. So we would definitely, we would definitely recommend that you take a minute and think about, think about the other person who might be going through something else, who might be struggling with something else. And if you are doing it, we want to applaud you. We want to give thanks to you, to all of you who have taken it as part of your daily responsibility to stay home and to keep others safe and healthy. And I think all of us would agree that those that are on the front lines deserve a shout out too. Everyone that's in healthcare, everyone that's running the grocery stores, all the truckers, all the sanitation workers, everyone that's keeping this country going, that's keeping the clock ticking. We definitely want to shout you out and give you thanks for doing it every day for the rest of us. That said, though, this concludes our first review of the English game. This has been pretty fun, guys. Honestly, I'm looking forward to episode 3. I know Eric's going to probably hang up and turn his TV on because he has it on in the background, probably. But we're going to keep going with this.
I got my guy right here.
he was watching the episode 3 while you were recording.
Yeah, that's why he was like this. He's part of the team, yeah. Well, we're going to keep going for this series. There's 6 episodes, so we're going to try to put in 2 episodes per review. So we got a few more of these reviews coming your way. That said, for the rest of our scheduled content, we'll be working towards getting stuff out towards you each week. We have a few videos also in the pipeline that we're working on that we're going to upload for the rest of you to be able to watch and enjoy while you're at home. If you have anything that you'd like to recommend to us, whether it be a series, a documentary, maybe even some classic matches if you want us to review, I think this format works pretty well for a whole bench. We did miss Ricky today just for, some scheduling issues, but I'm sure that all 6 of us would be glad to get on together again on this virtual studio recording and be able to review something original for you guys. So that said, before we sign off, we're going to go through the motions again. Eddie, where can they listen to us?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, at Benchwarmers FC.
Nice. And where can they find us on socials, Eric?
Make sure you guys let us know what you guys think about episode number 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the English game. Through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Benchwarmers FC 1.
Nice. And where can they watch us, Marco?
They can watch this episode and future episodes on YouTube at Benchwarmers FC TV.
Nice. And where can they write to us, Edgar, to recommend more series for us to watch and enjoy?
Bench at benchwarmersfc.com.
Nice. And we encourage you guys, just like Eric would say, we want to hear from all of you benchwarmers, all of you watchers, listeners, all of our fans that are scattered around. We hope that you stay safe. We may not be in the studio, but we're still recording for all of you fellow watchers and listeners, fellow benchwarmers. However, we're still the benchwarmers. This is still the bench of the voice, where the bench is always warm. See you on the next one, guys.